Yes, I'm familiar with that article that calls webcomics, quote, substandard fan-created content, unquote. So we're going to talk about that. Listen, a hot take like that has been circulated for every year that I've been doing webcomics professionally. That's over 20 and counting. The funny thing is, that's never stopped me from making a living doing comics. The writer of that screed is named Rob Salkowitz, and longtime listeners of my podcast Comic Lab recognize him from episode 63 way back in March of 2019, where he came on the show and insisted that the only professional comics were to be found in comic shops, which are going out of business at a record rate because of professionalism? When my co-host Dave Kellett and I explained to him that both he and I and a whole lot of other cartoonists were making a financially stable living doing comics that didn't fit this mold, he hand-waved it as, quote, artisanal success. A topic that we talked about at length in the following episode 64, The Joys of Artisanal Success. All I can say about Mr. Salkowitz is that in the intervening years, he hasn't come any closer to understanding where the comics industry actually stands today. Meanwhile, here's a little advice for you if you're one of those people who would love to become one of those substandard fan creators, or maybe one of those people that enjoys reading that substandard content. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Here's a quote from Salkowitz's article. He was talking about DC Comics' recent deal with Webtoons to bring superhero content to the platform. Quote, yes, showcasing DC material on an app that gets the vast majority of its clicks from young women under the age of 25 could bring some new fans into the market by filling the gaps between DC's kid-oriented animation, middle-grade graphic novels, and the skew's older mainstream DC line, but some saw it as just trading down the DC brand by mingling the material with a lot of substandard fan-created content that's prevalent on mobile subscription-based comics platforms. He just told you who he is. Believe him. I, for one, plan to do something about this. I'm going to go to my studio and make my living doing comics the way I have for several years now. I didn't need his permission then, and I don't need it now.